Hi Ken, really good to hear from you. We're going to touch on the down the line perspectives first before we dive into the face on. Okay, so I've made some notes of kind of the things that you've highlighted regarding the fact that you've been trying to get the high launch with driver. Okay, the way you've done that, as you mentioned, is by going high with the left hip and putting the ball further forwards. Okay. What we also know, as you've mentioned, is that you can tend to sometimes get those pop-ups in the sky on a driver, and the heel does tend to be the kind of, if you were to miss strike, it'll be more heel biased. Now, each of those things are going to tie in with each other, okay? Now, yes, we probably need to get you to hit more up on it, okay? But there's ways of going about it which will produce the same outcome, but one will give you negatives, one will give you positives, okay? Now, we already know, just from the history of kind of your movement pattern, we do tend to get, from the face-on perspective, too much angle between pelvis and sternum by top of backswing, i.e. the pelvis gets a little bit too far left and the upper body too far to the right. Now, if you go more and more left at setup with the left hip, you're basically just going to exaggerate that and essentially make it worse, right? That's then going to cause you to do certain amounts of things. So let's look. Unfortunately, camera angle is marginally off, so you'll see how, I think I mentioned before, that the camera's down the target line here. Just make sure in future it's obviously down the feet line because it can distort how the swing appears. But let's have a quick look here. So start on the left-hand side. In terms of the way the arms move on the way back, brilliant, okay? Really, really good. I like the fact of, I pretty much like what you've done, okay? But I'm going to stop you by a couple of positions here in the downswing. Now, these are going to, again, they're going to relate to what you've tried to do already. So if we look at where the hand path is, by the time you get to P5, which is roughly lead arm parallel to the ground in the downswing, you will see that the hand path is out over the toe line. Okay, so it's moved outwards quite excessively, which it has to, right? If we then get down to this position, you're also going to see, if I drop a line vertically down from kind of the front of your left deltoid, you'll see how the hands are outside of that line. Now, these are two things that are steepening factors. So the more that you move the hands out, the more the club path's going to move down, but it kind of has to because of the other things that you've done, right? So the more and more I go into right side bend, i.e. the more the upper body tilts back and the pelvis goes left, I can't afford to have the shaft starting to shallow because you're going to hit it massively heavy. So what you do, you steepen the arms and get the arms to go outwards, which technically makes the angle of attack go down, and the pitch of the shaft gets very steep, but you manage to basically find a middle ground between the two. Because you've gone excessively side bend right, that would make you fat it. But if you then throw the arms out this way and make the club steeper, that will move the low point further forwards to allow you to strike it. So it's kind of two opposite ends of the spectrum which are allowing you to basically find a middle ground. What that will also do is the fact that if we look at the driver, we see the same thing where you can see the upper body starting to tilt backwards and the arms working excessively outwards this way. What that's going to do, number one, is make angle of attack go down, which is why you're struggling with the launch of the driver, okay? What it's also going to do is move the swing direction and the club path out to the right, which then correlates with the heel strike. So the more right with the swing direction goes and the more down the angle of attack goes, the more the strike is going to move towards the heel. Again, this will also explain the pop-ups, because if we hit down on it too much with driver off of a high tee, you're basically going to go underneath it. So in an attempt to try and hit up on it, like, you're a really good golfer, right? You could go into any position and figure out a way of hitting a golf shot. But in an attempt to try and get angle of attack more up to help with launch, what you've done by going left hip higher and more shaft lean is basically kind of exacerbate the kind of two opposites, right? So it means that you've got to side bend more, which then means you've got to throw the arms out more, which makes you actually hit down on it almost more, right? So obviously not what we want, right? Now, again, like you said, you've been hitting it good because you're a good player, okay? If we wanted to make angle of attack go more upwards and remove the strike tendency and the pop-up, okay, so strike tendency being heel bias, we need to reduce, again, how much side bend we have, but equally touch on where the arms go in the downswing. So I'm going to give you a drill where we're going to do some pause drills, where in essence we're going to make a good, deep and wide backswing. We're going to feel that we can get these arms and the hands to fall down much, much wider, but less outwards. The way we're then going to get club back onto ball is by rotating open with the body. At the minute, those hands and arms just move too much out and down that way, which then means you've got to right side bend more to not dig the club into the floor. I think if we can just get these arms working down a little bit more this way, the arms and hands will definitely feel much more behind you, way more, right? What it's then going to force you to do is open up and cover it with the chest. But because the club will be working from a more shallow and inside position, that will then help with angle of attack without sacrificing strike.